The BRICS Alliance just became 10 kings. Now, when I hear 10 nations or 10 kings forming an alliance, my ears always perk up. In the Bible, the beast empire is said to start with 10 horns or 10 kings. And this month, the BRICS Alliance of Russia, China, India, and Brazil just expanded to 10 nations or 10 kings. Could this be prophecy happening in plain sight, right in front of our eyes? It's something every Christian should keep their eyes on, and it's something we've gotten a lot of questions about already. In this video, we're going to answer them and look at what just happened politically to form this 10-king alliance, what Christians should be looking for to confirm that this really is or isn't the 10 kings of the beast, and finally, what the Bible says the 10 kings will do for the beast empire. So let's get started. Other than this being an alliance of 10 kings, what also makes me somewhat suspicious of this group is the timing. This is 2024, after all, the year that we suspect could be the year that the tribulation period or 70th week of Daniel begins. So having something else monumental form at the same time like the 10 kings would fit right into the biblical timeline. If this truly is the year the last 7 years of human rule on earth begins, well then, the 10 kings would have to be forming somewhere around this time. If you follow this channel, you know the reasons we suspect 2024. Because if the movie Messiah 2030 is correct, if United Nations Agenda 2030 seems to be correct, if the star signs discovered that will happen in 2030 and 2031 are truly biblical, if the exponential rise in AI, digital currency, and digital ID continue, and most importantly, if the United Nations power grab scheduled for the fall of this year actually happens, they all point to a seismic shift prophetically. And as we stated, it just makes sense that the 10 kings might form at the same time. That's what our advisory board of Fisherman, Britt Ashley, Michael Tarrant, and Ryan Rigo have been talking about this week, and we want to discuss it with you as well. And that's one reason why you tell us you watch this channel, because you get information, crucial information, like on the 10 kings, on this channel that you rarely get elsewhere. Now let's start looking at what just happened to create these 10 kings. The BRICS Alliance previously included Brazil, B, Russia, R, India, I, China, C, and South Africa, S. But it just doubled in size as of January 1st, adding Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, Iran, and Ethiopia as new members. A total of 10 nations, or 10 kings. The BRICS group originally offered a 6th country entry, and that was Argentina, but they rejected it, leaving the group of 10 kings. However, this is like a really important point, so pay attention. If the number expands beyond 10, well, it's no longer 10 kings, is it? So we have to keep a watch for that. And this is what happened with the European Union. Everyone got really excited when this group became a group of 10. But, it quickly expanded to 24 or so, and so it no longer is a potential candidate to be the 10 kings. But for now, at least in the short-term future, BRICS is 10 kings. So who is this BRICS? They originally formed in reaction to the Western nations' economic and military dominance. Western nations like the USA, Europe, Australia, etc. And this group is working on a new world currency based on a gold standard to replace the dollar as the reserve currency used for purchasing oil. Now, in Matthew 24:7, Jesus prophesied that in the beginning of birth pangs period, kingdoms would rise against kingdoms. Certainly NATO and the BRICS Alliance both qualify as such multinational alliances or kingdoms. They may end up fighting each other to fulfill this prophecy. Only the future will tell. A little bit later in this video, we're going to show how that might actually happen, so be sure you keep watching. Let's start by looking at what Christians should be watching for to see if this 10-nation alliance is the 10 horns of the beast. We already said one thing that must remain true is that the number maintains a count of 10. They have to remain 10 kings. Now, the number could increase, but then it has to drop again to 10. 10 is a crucial number. It's the one found in the Bible. Now, Russia's President Vladimir Putin made a huge announcement at the time these other nations were added that BRICS is open to allowing many more countries to join the bloc, so we shall see if it remains 10. So what does the Bible have to say about these 10 kings? That's where we have to identify them, by what the Bible says about them. They first appear in Daniel 7, 7 through 8. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, terrifying and dreadful and exceedingly strong. It had great iron teeth that devoured and broke in pieces and stamped what was left with its feet. It was different from all other beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. So one of the distinguishing features of the beast, both as a king and kingdom, is that it's associated with these 10 horns. The 10 horns pre-exist the beast coming out of the sea. This then would fit with the 10 horns beginning to form right now. Next, Daniel tells us how the Antichrist comes on the scene. I considered the horns, see the horns are involved, and behold, there came up among them another horn, a little one. That's the Antichrist, the little horn, before which 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. Daniel 7, 8. So, the Antichrist rises among these nations and plucks out 3 of the first horns. The next chapter, Daniel 8, 8 through 9, gives us a lot more information about these horns and the little horn. And it's relevant to BRICS, as you're going to see in just a second. The goat became very great, but at the height of its power, the large horn was broken off, and in its place, 4 prominent horns grew up toward the 4 winds of heaven. Out of one of them came a little horn, which grew exceedingly great toward the south, toward the east, and toward the glorious land. Here, 4 of the horns are identified for us. They're part of something called the goat that comes from the west of Iran, where Daniel was getting this vision. Later, this goat is associated with the ancient country of Yemen, which was located in the Bosphorus Straits region of Turkey, where Istanbul is today. And we know from the rest of Daniel 8 that this goat conquers Iran in a blitzkrieg kind of air attack. And then, from this passage we just read, we see its large horn. The king that was in charge is broken, and it's broken into 4 smaller horns, so it's divided up. So let's look at our theory that the 10 horns are the BRICS countries from the perspective of this important passage. If BRICS are the 10 horns, then some shuffling is going to have to take place before the final number of 10 is reached. The current group of nations cannot be the final group. Let me say that again. If you're hearing somewhere that these are the 10 kings, they aren't. They may be a precursor, but they aren't the final 10, because 4 future horns, according to Daniel 8, have to be added. The current group of 10 nations can't be the 10 horns of the Bible. See how the Bible interprets itself? Okay, let's move on and see how some of that shuffling might take place. To do that, let's look at the mention of the beast and the 10 horns in Revelation 17, 12 through 16. The 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but who, for 1 hour, will receive authority as kings along with the beast. So this confirms that the horns are kings, and it says they don't have any real authority now until the beast empire forms, and they get their authority with the beast. Let's continue. These are of one mind, and they hand over their power and authority to the beast. They will make war on the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings, and those with him are called and chosen and faithful. So these 10 kings are going to be the ones that make war on God's faithful people, along with the beast, after they give him all their individual authority. Next, Revelation tells us how these 10 kings come to power. And the angel said to me, "The waters you saw where the prostitute is seated are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages." So the prostitute, or global government of Mystery Babylon, is initially in charge of all the world's peoples, including the 10 kings. As it says later, she rules over the kings of the earth and over the beast, as we see in Revelation 17:3. They conspire together and revolt against this globalist government. And the 10 horns you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. They will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put it into their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and handing over their royal power to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. So it's God's plan and preordained purpose that the beast forms from these 10 kings. And as Jesus said in Matthew 24:6, these are the things that must take place. God is permitting them. In fact, they're part of his plan. And in this revolt, getting back to the BRICS idea, it is likely that those 10 nations are more clearly defined at that point. As we already said, it can't be the existing list of 10 nations in the BRICS Alliance, but it could be some of them. Bible prophecy is full of twists and turns, and we need to remember that we shouldn't think we've got it all figured out yet. But we need to keep our eyes peeled for things that can be prophecy. This is how we watch, as Jesus commanded us to do. It's also entirely possible that the 10 nations, or the 10 horns, are something completely different than the BRICS Alliance. Now, I have a favor to ask you. If you haven't noticed, some of our videos are produced by our video team. If you have those kind of skills that you could help in producing videos, we would love to have you volunteer to do just that. We could use a couple extra hands on that and our website. Additionally, if you have skill in making images, like the one you saw in this video that was of Mystery Babylon, through the use of AI-generated images, boy, could we use that. So down in the description is going to be my email address. Please, if you have those kind of skills, just email me and volunteer. We could use your help. Now, getting back to BRICS. In terms of the formation of this global government, Mystery Babylon, it must come before the 10 kings are fully formed. And we may have passed the point of no return on its formation. Click right here to keep watching and see how the UN is requiring 50 nations to begin to roll out digital ID and the rest of their tyrannical digital control systems. Till then, this is Nelson, and I'll see you there.